Teri Greeves, a Kiowa beadworker, has an eye for spotting fake Native American art. Greaves' mother refused to deal with them. But others did, or the traders themselves started selling directly to customers. Looking at both authentic and fake pieces, the counterfeits, usually made of materials imported from Asia or made entirely abroad, helped Greaves cultivate an eye for spotting fakes. Later in her career, she started to see forgeries all over, especially when she moved to Santa Fe, a city that is home to a massive tourist industry for Native American art. Consumers' interest in Native American art continues today, and with it, a market for counterfeit pieces of Native American art. Everything from the pattern to the color to the way in which an artist constructs a particular piece can hold a specific traditional meaning, Begay Foss said. On Navajo rugs, an arrow can symbolize the movement of the sun, or a direction. Diagonal lines become feathers, and triangles can represent dynamism, vitality, or fertility. A cross symbolizes stars, but if it has boxes, it becomes Spider-Woman, a deity who gave Navajos the gift of weaving. Some rugs feature a storm pattern, in which a center box, which represents the universe, is connected by zigzagging lines, representing lightning bolts, to boxes that symbolize four mountains that watch over the Navajo Nation. Both Begay Foss and Greaves said that Native Americans would continue to create art even if they didn't sell it. Not everything is for sale, said Begay Foss, noting that artists sometimes make pieces for cultural traditions, such as coming-of-age gifts for family members. But at the end of the day, it's about the money. Like any other trend, the popularity of Native American art waxes and wanes. In the 1990s, it peaked, and mainstream fashion designers began producing colorful geometric patterns on clothing and blankets, branded as Native American or Indian. A college-age Greaves, who had just started selling her work in her mother's shop, watched as her mother and other artists testified at congressional hearings intended to fight the spread of fake art. One day, a high-profile designer's employee wandered into the shop and took an interest in Greaves' beadwork on a belt, promising to show it to the designer, whom Greaves declined to name. Additionally, artists don't copyright their designs, Begay Foss said, noting that an individual cannot own a traditional design. I learned those designs from my relatives, Begay Foss said. You don't own it, you have that cultural relation with your people. After the jeans incident, Greaves chose to give her work had a distinct, intricate flair, making it more difficult to counterfeit in mass quantities. For example, she carefully placed colorful glass beads in detailed patterns on modern pieces, such as Converse sneakers. But artists are afforded protections under the Indian Arts and Crafts Act of 1990, a truth in advertising law that prohibits the sale of art that falsely claims to be Native American made. If they're breaking the law, they're breaking the law, said Native American sculptor Upton Grayshoes Ethelba. There are so many symbols, or types of symbols, or almost generic symbols, so symbols themselves don't bother me. It's the fraudulent use of the word authentic. When Ethelba started out in the art industry 20 years ago, there was little enforcement of the 1990 law. Stories of busted scammers rarely made the news, he said. But today, he usually learns about a new arrest or indictment almost weekly from southwestern U.S. media outlets. Under the Indian Arts and Crafts Act of 1990, counterfeit artists face for a first violation civil or criminal penalties up to $1,000 in fines or up to 5 years in prison. Some could face both. The Department of the Interior's Indian Arts and Crafts Board, which oversees the enforcement of the act, has recently expanded the scope of investigations. In 2010, President Barack Obama signed an amendment to the act that permitted all federal law enforcement agencies to conduct investigations. Prior to the amendment, only the FBI had the authority to investigate those violations. And a 2012 agreement between the board and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service permitted the latter agency to help oversee enforcement of the law. And in February, a grand jury handed down indictments to 5 individuals allegedly tied to an international scheme involving the import and sale of fake art. The indictments are part of the years-long El Zuni investigation into violations of the Act. At a 2015 news conference, FBI Special Agent Nicholas Chavez called El Zuni the largest investigation since the inception of the Indian Arts and Crafts Act. According to court documents, the 5 individuals allegedly imported Native American-style jewelry from the Philippines and then marketed it as authentic Native American jewelry. The defendants could each face up to $250,000 in fines or a 5-year prison term, since the art was sold for at least $1,000 total. Eliminating the flow of counterfeit Native American art and craft work provides a level playing field for the highly talented, dedicated and hard-working producers of genuine Native American art, Chairman of the Indian Arts and Crafts Board Harvey Pratt said in a Justice Department press release. Meredith Stanton, Indian Arts and Crafts Act Board Director, said that she doesn't yet know how the cuts could affect the board or the enforcement of the act. Local lawmakers have launched initiatives to crack down on the illegal trade in their communities. Some states offer state-certified tags for stores to display alongside their authentic art. In New Mexico, Santa Fe's mayor proposed a Native American arts district, in which businesses who want to sell authentic Native American art would need a special license. But some say that these tags and licenses could be forged the same way counterfeiters forge the art itself, making the initiatives temporary solutions. But some say that 1990 federal law actually hurts those Native American artists who belong to tribes that lack federal recognition. Artists who are members of tribes without coveted recognition status, which grants tribes governmental authority and federal support for housing, education and health care, could be prosecuted for selling their own art. And as members of recognized tribes marry those without Native American ancestry, their children face the challenge of meeting the standard of being Native American enough to claim tribal membership and legally sell their art. The past 20 years has brought tangible progress in the attempts to curb the spread of counterfeits, but the fake art is still so prevalent that it made its way into a Senate field hearing intended to shed light on the problem. In early July, Udall chaired a Senate field hearing intended to determine better ways to combat counterfeit Native American art in the 21st century. The senator sat in front of a slipshod background, a few baskets with tribal designs attached to a faded curtain, listened to testimony from a panel of experts, including some Native American artists. Begay Foss, who testified during the hearing, pointed out that the baskets decorating the room were not authentic Navajo baskets. There are some baskets that are imported on the wall, Begay Foss said. All these designs and symbols, especially traditional designs, not just from our people but throughout our country, these early designs mean something to our people. It's beyond it's sacrilegious in a way.